Now that the settings are done, let's do some calculations. And in order to do that, we choose the first menu, the calculation menu, by pressing 1. Now first of all, you need to notice that there are two buttons, one green shift button and one orange alpha button. If you press the shift, it takes you to the green function that is next to every button. And if you press the alpha button, it takes you to the orange letters usually next to the buttons. So let's say, for example, that we want to enter pi. This is pi. You press shift pi, and that's your number. You will also need the shift button to shut off the calculator. So shift AC, but it doesn't work on the computer screen. Next, we have the orange button, which is for the answer. For example, let's say we have pi, and let's say we want to put this answer in a fraction. We press the fraction button, and we want to put the answer in the numerator, so we say alpha, and answer is this button with a format button. So your answer is divided by 2, and that's half pi. Of course, pressing format will give you its decimal equivalent. So for example, let's try 7 pi plus 3, and that's a simple calculation, and you get the equivalent value. Entering fractions, you can choose the fraction as we did a moment ago. Let's say choose the fraction 5 and then press down and divide by 7, so 5 over 7. Or if you want to enter a mixed number, it's shift fraction, and you get, let's say, 1 and 2/3 by pressing the arrows, and that is 5 over 3. For roots, this is the button for roots. If you press the button, root 4, it gives you the square root immediately. Otherwise, if you press the shift button first, you get any root that you wish. Let's say the 5th root. Let's do that again. Shift root, the 5th root of, let's say, 32, and that's 2. Powers, on the other hand, are achieved through 2 buttons. The square, you simply press, let's say you want to press 5 squared, 5, and this button gives you a square immediately, so 5 squared, or 5, and this button gives you to the power. You can put any power, including the square. So if you choose 5 to the power 3, that's 125. Now, there are 3 buttons that you need to look for: the variables, the catalog, and the tools. At this moment, let's look at the tools. So for tools, the only thing that really matters for us now is the delete line or delete all. If you want to delete the last line, you can scroll down and press enter, or simply choose the number, so press 2 and OK, 1, and that deletes the line. Again, tools, delete line is number 2, 1, and that's gone. You can also choose to delete all by pressing 3. It cancels everything in the screen, but this is more easily obtained by pressing AC, and that gives you delete all and 1 for OK, and you get a clear screen again. For the catalog here, you have what matters at this moment is the numerical calculations. Number 4. We press number 4 and we get various options. The only one that matters to us in grade 10 is the absolute value. So if you press 3, for example, it gives you the absolute value signs, and let's say you do 7 minus 10. That's equivalent to the absolute value of -3, and you know that the answer is 3. So that's how you get the absolute value. Again, one very interesting feature is the pin. Rather than always search for the functions, you can choose to pin the recent item from the catalog and in your history. So press 1, and if you choose to pin the absolute value, just simply press Tools, and you have a pinned sign here, and that means that next time if you want to use the absolute value, you simply access it from the history menu. So let's say we want to do absolute value again. We go back to our menu. So we choose catalog. History is number 1, and we get the absolute value. So we choose that, and we get our, let's say, 15 minus 20, and the access is now quicker and easier. Let's say we want to enter operations in standard form, scientific notation. 5, for example, times 10 to the power, this is the button, times 10 to the power 4, and you go out of the power by pressing right, plus, let's say, 6 times 10 to the power 3. And this equals 56,000. Now, if you want to write this in different formats, you cannot write it exactly in scientific notation, but you can write it in what we call engineering notation, where the powers of 10 moves in 3s. So we press Shift and Format, and we choose engineering notation if you wish, and that gives you 56 times 10 to the power 3. Note that 56 times 10 to the power 3 is not scientific notation, because 56 is greater than 10, but still it's written in this way because in engineering you work in powers of 3, like the milli or the kilo or the mega or so on. Now let's say that we want to store this number and to use it later. There is this arrow here, it's in green, so we press Shift and arrow, so it tells me that the answer is going to go somewhere. Where do I want to put this value of 56,000? I want to put it in a store called A. A is in orange, so I choose alpha A and execute. This tells me that the value of 56,000 is now in a store called A. And if you look at this button, the variable button, and if you press it, you will find various variables. What concerns us is the alpha numeric stores. So we choose 1, and we see that store A contains 56,000. Now let's go back, and let's say we will have the value of, let's say, 0.235, and I want to store it in B. Shift arrow and alpha B. This means that this value will go to store B, and press execute. Now this will be in store B. Now I can do calculations on A and B. So for example, alpha A times, I don't need to put it, alpha B, and this equals the product of 56,000 times 0.235. You can do all sorts of calculations, and even the answer can be stored in a third store if you want. And if you want to empty a store, choose the value of 0 and input it into that store. So 0 shift arrow and put it in A, alpha A, exe, and that means that the value of 0 is now in that store. Let's check the variables, alphanumeric variables, and A is now 0. You can do the same for B, and that's how you empty your stores. Let's go back. Let's clear the screen by pressing AC. Delete all is OK. Press number 1. Now let's say that we want to do some time calculations. How we can enter time into the calculator and how we can translate the answers. Let's say that we have a distance time problem where we have a distance of 154 kilometers to be traveled at a speed of 58 kilometers per hour. How much time is needed? Obviously we have to divide the distance by the velocity, so 154 divided by the speed or the velocity, which is 58, and this gives us 2.655 hours. Now if we want to write this answer in hours, minutes and seconds, all we need to do is change the format of the number, but we have to press shift first and then get the menu for the formats. We have different formats in which we can present the answer, and the sexagesimal format is what we want. We go to option number 3, and that means that our answer is equivalent to 2 hours 39 minutes 18.62 seconds. Now sometimes you have a different kind of problem where you want to enter time in hours, minutes and seconds. Let's say we want to enter 1 hour 5 minutes 45 seconds, and the way to do that is press the hours first, shift plus, that gives you the access to the this notation for hours, minutes and seconds, so that this tells you that you have 1 hour, 5 shift plus, again that's 5 minutes, and finally your 45 shift plus seconds. When you enter hours, minutes and seconds, in all cases you have the little sign for the degree, unlike when it's presented in the answer when you have a degree for the hours, minutes and seconds. If you press exe, it immediately converts it to its decimal equivalent. If you want to go back, shift, format, option 3, and you have the 1 hour 5 minutes 45 seconds. You can multiply that by 2, and that's your answer, and you will convert it, and that's what you have. So those are the basic calculations on this calculator. Next we will look at solving some equations.